St. Louis is hitting 93 degrees Fahrenheit today, and by tomorrow, that same city crashes all the way down to 58 degrees Fahrenheit, a 35-degree collapse in less than 24 hours. 5 separate major storm systems are lined up back-to-back in the models between now and April 11th, and forecasters are calling this the most hyperactive early spring pattern they've seen in years. The part that has forecasters genuinely rattled, the April 4th system, right on the heels of tonight's storm, could actually be even worse than what we're dealing with right now. Tonight carries a level 3 enhanced risk, 3 out of 5, stretching from central Illinois through northeastern Ohio, and it is the opening act for a 2-week storm stretch. A cold front is pushing south through the Great Lakes right now, driving muggy air with dew points in the upper 50s and low 60s. And that moisture is the fuel loading tonight's storms. That muggy air is generating 1,000 to 2,000 joules per kilogram of storm energy across the Midwest, more than enough to power violent supercell thunderstorms through the afternoon and well into the evening. Supercells are lining up south of I-80 from central Illinois through northern Indiana into western Ohio, each one capable of baseball-sized hail, strong tornadoes, and 60 to 70 miles per hour straight-line winds. Tonight's enhanced risk zone covers Peoria, Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, Toledo, Dayton, Cleveland, and Akron. Every single person in those cities needs multiple ways to receive warnings before this evening is over. Through the morning and early afternoon, things stay quiet with scattered showers. But don't let that fool you, because the atmosphere is coiling up underneath like a spring getting tighter by the hour. By 3:30 to 4 p.m., supercells are fully ramped up with the hail and tornado threat locked in across central Illinois and northern Indiana. That is your first real danger window of the day. Your highest risk tornado window runs from about 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., when the low-level wind shear across Indiana and Ohio peaks before beginning to weaken going into the evening hours. By 6 to 8 p.m., the heart of the event window, things get extremely active from Missouri through Ohio and into Pennsylvania, with the European model showing very intense storms still going strong at 2 a.m. After those storms merge into a squall line through the evening, wind gusts of 60 to 70 plus miles per hour take over across the lower Ohio Valley and the Lake Erie shoreline right through the overnight hours. Pittsburgh and western Pennsylvania get this squall line around 9 to 10 p.m. tonight. Don't write yourself off just because you're sitting east of the main enhanced risk zone on the map. After 10 to 11 p.m., severe weather starts winding down, but heavy rain continues overnight, and 1 to 3 inches of total rainfall will push flash flooding across Indiana, Ohio, and western Pennsylvania. Here's the part that gets people hurt every time. Some of these storms roll through after midnight while everyone is asleep, and by the time you know what's happening, you've got maybe 30 seconds. Tonight, you need a weather radio on your nightstand with the alarm actually turned on, not sitting unplugged in the guest room, not on the kitchen counter. On your nightstand, alarm on. If you're in a mobile home in tonight's enhanced risk zone, that structure is not safe in a tornado. Have your plan to reach a solid building ready before 3 p.m. today. No basement? Head to the lowest floor. Find the most interior hallway or room. Stay away from every window and keep shoes nearby in case you need to move fast in the dark. Charge your phone all the way to 100% right now, not halfway, all the way, because a dead device during a tornado warning is not just an inconvenience, it is genuinely dangerous. Make that phone call today to any senior neighbor or family member in the threat zone who might not be keeping up with the weather. 5 minutes now could matter a lot later. Tomorrow, as this system pushes south and east, Atlanta at 78 degrees Fahrenheit, Charlotte at 76 degrees Fahrenheit, D.C. at 63 degrees Fahrenheit, Baltimore at 65 degrees Fahrenheit, and Philadelphia at 58 degrees Fahrenheit all move squarely into the severe weather crosshairs. Along the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee and North Carolina into Virginia and the Delmarva Peninsula, supercell thunderstorms are possible with hail up to 2 inches and straight-line winds over 60 miles per hour tomorrow afternoon. Atlanta has a supercell warning with a local tornado risk tomorrow, while Birmingham at 77 degrees Fahrenheit watches for scattered tornadoes and 60 miles per hour winds. The Southeast is flat out not getting a free pass here. New Orleans, at 83 degrees Fahrenheit, has a coastal flood warning as storm surge combines with heavy rain, and Jackson, Mississippi, at 80 degrees Fahrenheit, is watching for serious flash flooding in low-lying areas tomorrow afternoon and evening. Nashville at 64 degrees Fahrenheit is dealing with a flash flood threat, and Washington, D.C. is specifically flagged for hail up to 1.5 inches, the kind that cracks car windshields and punches holes in skylights. Richmond at 66 degrees Fahrenheit watches for a line of supercells with damaging straight-line winds, and Wilmington, Delaware at 60 degrees Fahrenheit and Newark, New Jersey at 59 degrees Fahrenheit are both under the gun for severe weather tomorrow afternoon. Hartford, Connecticut at 54 degrees Fahrenheit is bracing for tree-snapping straight-line winds, while Boston at 55 degrees Fahrenheit deals with 50 miles per hour coastal gusts and heavy rain that will flood the usual low spots around the city. Burlington, Vermont at 38 degrees Fahrenheit is already feeling cold air filter in behind tonight's front, and Portland, Maine at 42 degrees Fahrenheit could see rain flip to snow overnight as temperatures keep dropping through Friday morning. The entire eastern seaboard from Georgia to New England gets something from this system over the next 24 to 36 hours. If you're anywhere on the coast tonight, keep those weather alerts turned on. Meanwhile, the northern tier is already locked down hard. Minneapolis at 18 degrees Fahrenheit, Fargo at 12 degrees Fahrenheit, Sioux Falls at 22 degrees Fahrenheit. Blizzard conditions with near zero visibility and wind chills well below 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Cheyenne, Wyoming at 28 degrees Fahrenheit has an emergency blizzard warning with 50+ miles per hour wind gust, and Billings at 25 degrees Fahrenheit is dealing with widespread black ice that is flat out life-threatening on the interstates right now. Des Moines at 30 degrees Fahrenheit has blowing snow, cutting visibility to near zero on I-80 and I-35. And Omaha at 35 degrees Fahrenheit is dealing with black ice and 45 miles per hour gust, making the overpasses extremely treacherous. If you're in the Dakotas, Minnesota, Montana, or Wyoming and have any choice about whether to be driving right now, stay home, because zero visibility and black ice don't give you a second chance. Phoenix is at 99 degrees Fahrenheit under a red flag warning. Las Vegas at 94 degrees Fahrenheit. Tucson at 96 degrees Fahrenheit. Albuquerque at 88 degrees Fahrenheit, all under critical fire weather conditions across the desert Southwest today. Drought across the Four Corners. Eastern Arizona, Texas, Kansas, and Oklahoma, combined with 30 to 40 miles per hour wind gust, makes any spark, a campfire, a trailer hitch dragging on asphalt, potentially catastrophic today. Oklahoma City at 64 degrees Fahrenheit and Wichita at 48 degrees Fahrenheit both have active fire weather watches, while Los Angeles at 74 degrees Fahrenheit deals with dry Santa Ana winds creating real wildfire danger in the foothills and canyons. From Albuquerque to Amarillo, through the western Oklahoma Panhandle, open burning is not recommended under any circumstances today. A grass fire in these conditions spreads faster than a fire truck can ever get there. Seattle at 44 degrees Fahrenheit is under heavy rain with a serious landslide risk on saturated hillsides. And Portland, Oregon at 46 degrees Fahrenheit is watching rivers already running high take on yet another round of heavy rainfall. Houston at 84 degrees Fahrenheit has dangerous heat and humidity. Anyone doing outdoor work along the Gulf Coast today should treat it like peak summer, because heat stroke doesn't care about the calendar. Miami at 89 degrees Fahrenheit has a dangerous heat index and afternoon tropical thunderstorm risk. And anyone over 65, anyone working outdoors, or anyone without air conditioning today needs to take that heat warning seriously. Before the April outlook, drop your city in the comments right now and tell us what you're seeing on the ground, because we genuinely want to know where you're watching from today. Around Monday, March 30th, a new trough drops into the northern Rockies and low pressure builds across the central plains, loading the atmosphere for round 2 of severe weather. By Tuesday, March 31st, that low moves into the Great Lakes and severe weather sparks up all the way from Wisconsin and Minnesota through Kansas, Oklahoma, and deep into Texas, pretty much simultaneously. Tuesday's event is wide area, damaging winds, hail, and tornadoes, all possible across a corridor stretching from the Great Lakes south to the southern plains, which is a lot of real estate for one storm. Overnight Tuesday into Wednesday, April 1st, models show this system exploding from Texas through the plains and Great Lakes, what forecasters are calling a medium to large-scale severe weather event right as April begins. By Wednesday afternoon, Kentucky, Tennessee, and the Mississippi River corridor get intense thunderstorms. And by Thursday, those storms spread from Texas through the deep south and into the mid-Atlantic. So from tonight straight through at least April 4th, there's no meaningful break longer than about 48 hours for the central and eastern U.S. That is a relentless stretch of weather by any measure. April 4th worries forecasters more than tonight because that system has even more Arctic air diving in behind it, creating a bigger temperature contrast and a bigger fuel load for violent thunderstorms. The colder the air crashing in from behind, the more explosive the thunderstorms along the boundary where cold meets warm. And April 4th brings colder air and riper warmth than tonight. Models show a low forming between Illinois and Wisconsin around April 4th with a high precipitation cold front dragging south. And the warm, juicy air ahead of it will be even more loaded than tonight's. A stationary front on April 4th means the same area gets hit by 3, 4, or 5 separate storm cells rolling north along the line. And that repeated pounding is when catastrophic flooding happens. Stationary fronts flood basements, close highways, and overwhelm storm drains because the rain keeps hammering the same zip codes over and over instead of sweeping through and moving on. On the heels of April 4th, a fifth major system hints on the models for April 7th to 8th. A strong low over Minnesota with heavy snowfall for the upper Midwest and northern plains. That April 7th to 8th system brings a bowed-out cold front with significant severe weather across the Midwest, Deep South, and plains, just days after the April 4th event wore everyone out. 5 events back-to-back is not a normal spring. The communities that come through it best will be the ones that treated each storm seriously instead of assuming they'd already dodged the worst. The rainfall concern builds straight through all of this. Multiple inches are expected from Chicago through Indianapolis, St. Louis, Little Rock, Memphis, and into Dallas-Fort Worth as these systems keep rolling through one after another. Above normal precipitation is expected across the Mississippi River Valley into Oklahoma and Texas during the first week of April, meaning the flooding concern isn't letting up in the brief windows between storm events. If you live near a river in the Mississippi Valley or Ohio Valley, watch your local gauges closely. These rivers are not going to have time to drop between back-to-back storm events. The rule for flooded roads never changes. If you roll up on standing water and can't see the pavement, turn around. What looks passable from your windshield might already be washed out below. While the Mississippi Valley gets hammered, the Texas Panhandle, eastern Colorado, and the Nebraska Panhandle are looking at drought intensification through mid-April. Drier and more fire-prone with each system that tracks north of them. That split is the story of this pattern. Wet and stormy east of the Mississippi, bone-dry and fire-prone west of it, with a conveyor belt of cold fronts keeping both extremes locked in. As the ridge shifts east of the Mississippi in early April, it pumps warmth into the east, which keeps replenishing the warm, moist air that fuels every single one of these storm systems. By week 2 of April, frost and hard freeze risk returns to the upper Midwest, Great Lakes, and Northeast. Farmers planting corn or soybeans right now should hold off at least 2 more weeks. One hard freeze on the wrong mid-April night can wipe out weeks of growing progress in a single morning. And this year, that risk across the upper Midwest and Northeast is very real. Here's the full storm calendar so you can write it down and share it with whoever in your life needs to know what's coming and when to be on high alert. Tonight through Friday, Level 3 enhanced risk across Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and western Pennsylvania. Baseball hail, 70 miles per hour winds, strong tornadoes, active from 3 p.m. straight through midnight, flooding overnight. Saturday and Sunday, high pressure rolls in, genuine sunshine, a real break for most of the east. Use it to clean up tonight's damage and get your house in order before round 2. Monday, March 30th through Wednesday, April 1st. Second and third systems fire in quick succession. Great Lakes low, wide area severe weather from Wisconsin through Texas. Flooding concern building rapidly across the Mississippi Valley. Thursday, April 3rd through Saturday, April 5th, the April 4th system arrives, potentially the worst of the bunch. Stationary front risk, more Arctic air than tonight, the deep south fully back in the picture. April 7th to 8th, 5th system possible. Strong Minnesota low, heavy snowfall for the upper Midwest and northern plains, and another round of severe weather stretching from the Midwest through the deep south. Mid-April, frost and freeze risk for the upper Midwest, Great Lakes, and Northeast, and the drought in the Texas Panhandle, eastern Colorado, and Nebraska Panhandle continues to intensify and worsen. That's 5 events, potentially 6, over roughly 16 days, which is why making storm preparedness your everyday habit right now matters more than any piece of gear or any single weather app. Storm fatigue is real, but the atmosphere doesn't give you a discount for being tired of it. And each of these 5 systems has to be taken seriously as its own individual event. The best thing you can do heading into this stretch is make preparedness your default routine. Phone fully charged every night, alerts on, shelter plan known, and weather radio set before you go to sleep. Keep a week's worth of prescription medications on hand right now, because when back-to-back storms hit, roads flood, pharmacies lose power, and getting out to restock what you need can take days. Don't underestimate the buddy check. One 5-minute call to the seniors or neighbors who might not have anyone watching out for them could be the most important call you make this week. Chicago at 34 degrees Fahrenheit and Detroit at 36 degrees Fahrenheit are already feeling winter claw back, a stark reminder of how fast this atmosphere flips from record heat to bone-chilling cold in under 24 hours. Little Rock at 66 degrees Fahrenheit, Memphis at 68 degrees Fahrenheit, and Dallas-Fort Worth at 70 degrees Fahrenheit all get tonight's cold front pushed through. And early next week, all 3 come right back into the severe weather picture. Columbus, Ohio at 45 degrees Fahrenheit watches for a late night squall line after 10 p.m., and Indianapolis at 40 degrees Fahrenheit is already in cleanup mode from tonight's event, with flash flooding concerns lingering into Friday morning. Pittsburgh at 52 degrees Fahrenheit gets the tail end of this squall line late tonight, and western Pennsylvania rivers will be running fast and high by Friday morning after multiple rounds of heavy rain. The people who come through a stretch like this best are those who took every storm seriously. Not the ones who figured the next one probably wouldn't be as bad as the last. Charge the phone all the way up, know your shelter spot, set the weather radio alarm tonight, and make that call to the person who needs to hear from you before 3 p.m. today. Drop your city in the comments, tell us what you're seeing on the ground, and let us know which storm next week you want us to cover. We read every single one. Let us know which region you want us to focus on for the April 4th system. That setup impacts a very wide area, and your location shapes how we cover it. Keep a close eye on the forecast through April. This pattern isn't done with the central U.S. yet, and the next update is going to matter for a lot of communities. 5 storms in 2 weeks. St. Louis from 93 degrees Fahrenheit today to 58 degrees Fahrenheit tomorrow. 5 events through April 11th. April 4th carrying more Arctic air than tonight, with forecasters saying it could be even worse.